Hello guys, hello YouTube, hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night to some people. So, if you saw yesterday's video, I reacted to one of my favorite YouTubers, Centoverse's Godzilla OC Battle Royale, which I talked about and reviewed it. It's really good, you guys should all watch it. But now, we have a fight that I talked about yesterday at the end of my video. A fight that you guys probably are asking for after I talked about it and reacting to the OC Battle Royale Part 3. That fight is Godzilla x the Imposter Godzilla from my channel versus Centoverse's Godzilla x the Imposter Godzilla. Well, who wins? Who's the better Godzilla? Who's stronger? We'll find that out in this video right now. But before that, I'm gonna be right back. I think I was away from it too long. But okay, so let's first go over some background on the characters. GXI Godzilla is the Godzilla from my channel. He is considered by me and by some other people to be the strongest fan-made Godzilla, strongest OC, probably one if not the most powerful character in fiction currently, unless I'm forgetting someone who could beat him, and the strongest Godzilla. Now, there is one other Godzilla who could give him a good fight, and we've seen this. I mean, I kind of have like 5 videos on the Centoverse's Godzilla versus GXI Godzilla. I mean, like, why wouldn't I narrate this? We have 2 versions, one on my channel and one on his, each showing different winners-ish, or outcomes. So, on his channel, he depicted Godzilla x the Imposter Godzilla as being more of an even character and more down to earth. Him and Vengeance Godzilla, I could say, are kind of equals, but again, it's difficult to say. But GXI Godzilla, and that was, in my opinion, he was different. He had different abilities, and was actually missing some of the key abilities. I mean, he does have a little too many abilities, and I kind of forget all he has. But something that you guys probably forgot is how Godzilla x the Imposter Godzilla. When I say in my old video that the Omniversal guy couldn't kill GXI Godzilla, I meant it. He could kill everyone else, but GXI Godzilla, for some reason, there's no way to actually kill him for good. You cannot kill him. He always comes back. He's immune to dying. Literally. You can do anything you want. You could try to erase him from the plot like a Omniversal guy's physical form did, but he clearly just cannot die. I just want to say that, to clarify that, because I really haven't touched up on that in a long time. But now we get back to the actual vid. So, I'm going to talk about Centoverse's version of GXI Godzilla. This version of GXI Godzilla is around the same size, 425 feet tall, and around, probably being slightly shorter. I'm going to give him at least the same length as MonsterVerse Godzilla. 270 meters to around 280. At least 800 something feet long. And his main way of combat is throwing his opponent or beaming them. He doesn't have, his arms are much shorter than the one from my channel. He doesn't really use his arms as much unless he's throwing. He doesn't really punch, but he's more of a beam spammer-ish, like Heisei. But he decides to try to get up close and personal, and he likes to beam his opponents to death. He likes to overwhelm them with beam fire. Now, how was it when he fought Vengeance Godzilla? he clearly has the upper hand in base form. But when they go into their more powerful forms, he kind of still has the upper hand. But it's a little more even. And also with Vengeance versus Godzilla having a lot of tricks. Well, GXI is just like a giant monster versus Godzilla. So, now we go back to mine. He has all, God knows how many abilities he has. Like, it's even hard for me to keep track of how many abilities. But the main important ones are his force field. Though he doesn't use that when he's in his true calm form, which I'm not going to be using for versus battles because I just don't feel like it. I don't know how. I'm not done like completely making statements for him. But his force field can reflect and he blows. And he was knocked back while using his force field by the Omniversal God, but that's different. And also when we see the Omniversal God in the OC Battle Royale, I'm going to have him go against the Omniversal God from my channel. But his beam is made to burrow into his opponents or knock them back or cause bad explosions on them. He can cut things in half with it, and his beam can incinerate basically anything if it's left on there. Now, we get this. Now we get to his arms. His arms, though looking short, are not short. They're just the way they're drawn. They're big arms. They're actually most likely longer than his legs. If you have a clear picture of him, you can see this. But they're bent at an angle that looks like that makes him look short. But he does have long arms. And as we saw in the finale, he's able to punch. He did the Vengeance Godzilla when he beat him to the ground. And Vengeance Godzilla was at full power, by the way, and in rage mode, went into rage mode. But he absolutely started punching him to the ground. Like, not even joking. His punches are very powerful, especially when he does a nuclear punch. Now let's get into strength. Who's stronger? GXI Godzilla from Centoverse Godzilla can throw Vengeance Godzilla and other Godzillas, but he still feels like that Vengeance Godzilla is slightly stronger than him. Mostly, I'd say, because of the smaller arms. You know what, GXI Godzilla not really being able to keep up physically, and like if they had to fight together, like against each other. Like, my GXI Godzilla, let's just call him Imposter Goji. I'll just call Centoverse Godzilla, GXI Godzilla, and mine just GXI Godzilla. GXI Godzilla is shown to suplex the Imposter, who doesn't weigh much, throw Voidzilla in one of his weaker forms, who Godzilla is already infinite amount of tons. He has above infinite strength. And yes, he fought Destroyer, who I believe he threw Destroyer. Though he didn't really do it technically, his other version, Voidzilla, was able to kind of do it. And since they were at the same level back then, it's interesting. I'm not even going to use that. That might be a little too confusing, but he's easily able to throw heavier opponents. He actually suplexed the Omniversal God, who is heavier, who is much, much heavier. The Omniversal God's true form, who is much, much heavier than Voidzilla by so much. And that's the same Omniversal God with a flick of his tail sent Hell Godzilla flying through infinite amount of miles, infinite amount of distance through a dimensional board, and did the same to GXI Godzilla at the end. He's able to easily throw the Omniversal God. Yeah, that was in his calm burning form, but he can still do it in base. It's just harder for him to get up close. Now we get the speed. Well, Centoverse Godzilla is pretty fast. I'd probably give him around 200 miles per hour. But I feel like he can't really keep up with Vengeance Godzilla as much. Well, GXI Goji was able to sprint right onto Vengeance Godzilla, jump on him, and once he got his pulse out, he was able to basically speed blitz him. Also, he can react to things that go at immeasurable speeds, like the beams of the Omniversal God. Like, the beam was literally so close to hitting the Imposter, but he is able to teleport right there. He sees it and teleports there, and also he's able to jump onto the Omniversal God so fast that before the beam could even be fired. He's also able to sprint at around 300 to 600 miles per hour, and at maximum could get to 120 miles per hour, 1,020 miles per hour. But his speed is mostly consistent with Monster vs. Godzilla, so we'll leave it at that. IQ, they're both kind of smart, but GXI Godzilla shows better intelligence. GXI Godzilla is like if you put all of GXI's ego problems into one thing, he doesn't really make smart decisions. He roared on top of a Vengeance Godzilla he thought was dead, instead of incinerating the body. While my GXI Godzilla did that, he helps Vengeance Godzilla up. He doesn't roar unless the job is completely done most of the time. Battle IQ. His GXI seems to be a horror. GXI seems to be a horrible fighter. He can barely punch. It's kind of pathetic how small his arms are. Because that's a funny thing. His arms are tiny in this. He can barely punch, but he can for some reason throw. He's not the best at that. He just decides to beam spam. He doesn't really use Atomic Pulse or Atomic Punch. Combat, same thing. He can't really do anything except for throw and beam. While my Godzilla, the Imposter Godzilla, can easily throw opponents, punch them into the ground, stomp them out, and also beam them. And use his Atomic Pulse, using his abilities to his best part. Agility. Centoverse GXI Godzilla isn't as agile, but he can run. He's good at that. He also showed the drop kick, which was hilarious, but then got drop kicked into oblivion. This guy has the same agility as the Monsterverse, and also, he's much heavier and he can jump. Yes, this guy can jump. He's shown to also do suplexes. A one where he lands on someone and then suplexes, drops them, and then one normal vertical suplex. Like, he can jump and do lots of stuff. You literally saw him sprint and jump. Howard, Centoverse GXI Godzilla was able to one-shot massacre Godzilla. Who's thought of as being one of the most powerful versions of Godzilla and one of the most powerful characters in fiction. And remember, he also was able to easily beat Vengeance Godzilla when they're both in base form. He was consistent at being stronger than Massacre Godzilla. At being the strongest Godzilla in a series. Our character in a series. Skill. Central versus GXI Godzilla just shows the beam and throw people. And kind of step on them so you can beam them to death. Well, GXI Godzilla was able to use tactics to beat the Omniverse God team tag, and is able to use his tail Tagmizer on Vengeance Godzilla, the same one. So remember, this is the same Vengeance Godzilla he was fighting. Used his tail to his advantage, and basically be able to use all his physical attributes and his beams and his force field to his advantage. Hacks. They both don't have a lot of hacks, but the only hacks I can give for my GXI Godzilla is basically being immune to all forms of death. Like, you cannot kill him at all. And having the force field, and basically being able to get infinitely more powerful whenever he needs to. The other GXI Godzilla, I don't know if he could die in that animation. He seemed to be very durable. But yeah, durability. GXI Godzilla able to take Vengeance Godzilla's attacks in base form. This is my GXI able to take Vengeance Godzilla's silver form and most powerful attacks in base form for a second and walk through the beam. Also take the Omniverse with God's strikes. You know how durable he is. Just watch episode 10. Experience, they should have the same experience. They're technically the same version of each other, just shown in portrayed in different series. X Factor, Centoverse GXI Godzilla is extremely resistant to atomic breaths. Hasn't shown to be taking any damage. Well, my GXI Godzilla is able to completely tank things and also not able to die. Now we can get to our categories. Physical strength easily goes to Godzilla's Imposter, or just my GXI Godzilla. Speed, my GXI Godzilla. IQ, my GXI Godzilla. Battle IQ, my GXI Godzilla. Combat, my GXI Godzilla. Agility, my GXI Godzilla. Power, my GXI Godzilla. Skill, my GXI Godzilla. Durability, my GXI Godzilla. Hacks, my GXI Godzilla. EXP or experience my GXI Godzilla. X Factor, my GXI Godzilla. And I'm just going to give Centroverse's GXI Godzilla 4 free points. But why is this a total wipeout? Huh? Why is this like this? So I can explain. Well, I probably really should do better explaining at this point. Really better explaining. So I will show off the points in a minute, but explaining, my GXI Godzilla is a much, much better fighter. And it has basically everything that this GXI Godzilla is, but better. I mean, what else can I say? The fight wasn't fair at all. This fight was not fair. He's basically everything that the other GXI Godzilla could do, but better. He's everything that Centroverse's GXI Godzilla can do, but better. And it shows just better capabilities overall. And I just think that this fight wasn't as fair as my other ones. I see my GXI Godzilla winning with low difficulty, probably going to be able to kill Centroverse's GXI Godzilla. But he will still put up a good fight. It'll probably go like how Vengeance Godzilla win against Centroverse's GXI Godzilla. And remember, they did fight the same version of Vengeance Godzilla. No different. I'm using the same version, and I'm not making them any different. It's literally the same Vengeance Godzilla. Now we can show you the points. GXI takes his victory, and he scores 11-4. The only reason the other guy got 4 points was because of the free points. So the winner is GXI Godzilla. Godzilla is the Imposter Godzilla from my channel. No to low diff. And he really beat that imposter. Get the joke? Okay, no one's laughing at that joke. That joke was absolutely horrible. Beats that imposter with no to low diff. The fight was not fair at all. No low diff. So now the imposter GXI Godzilla beat that imposter. But what else would you like to see next? You have any arguments against this? Just tell me in the comments. And also, I just want to say, Centroverse's GXI Godzilla, I scale lower than Centroverse's Vengeance Godzilla from my series and from the OC Battle Royale. But it's still a good fight. I loved watching the series. I like how people portray. I like how me and Centroverse portray our Godzillas and basically other people in different ways depending on the series. It's just in the perspective of a person. But still, GXI Godzilla from my series would easily beat the one from Centroverse series. He has too many advantages. But it's still a good fight. It'd be very interesting to watch. And if you'd like me guys to make a stop motion on this, I would love to. Tell me in the comments. Well, that's it. I'm out of here. Good night. Good morning. Peace. Can it be now?